With bills to pay and debt piling up, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. Personal loans through NetCredit can provide funding up to $10,000 to help you get back on track financially if eligible. Our secure application process allows you to customize the terms that work for you and your budget. So check your eligibility today without affecting your credit score and help get your finances back on track. NetCredit, a more personal loan. All NetCredit loans and lines of credit are offered by a member of the NetCredit family of companies or one of our lending partners. Visit netcredit.com/partners for more information.
The Big Bark, listen up dog owners, it's for you, all you canine lovers. It's your favorite podcast, The Big Bark, with your host Darragh Burke and canine co-hosts Bruno and Milly. The Big Bark.
Hello and welcome back to The Big Bark, Ireland's favourite canine podcast. I'm your host Darragh Burke and I'm joined as always by my canine co-hosts Bruno and Milly, who are off out enjoying the sunshine there today. Huge thanks to Peter from Darragh for being with us last week, and really hope that went off fairly well there on Sunday, and it looked like it was a really good day. So we'll have Peter back on in a couple of weeks to tell us all about that. And we're continuing, I suppose, our summer series, but we're taking a bit of a detour from the show today. We're going to be talking a bit about small business and starting up a small doggy business a bit later on. We are taking a detour from our weird and wonderful because we have a little situation that came into us about a dog owner who's having a bit of trouble, and we're looking for your advice on that. Still haven't come up with a name for this segment, but I'll figure it out later on. And we'll be chatting wellness with your woofer, some doggy trivia like we had with Peter last week, and we'll have our health hub a bit later, as well as a new addition to the show called Clever Canines, which has helpful training tips for your dogs. And like I said, we'll also be chatting with a new online doggy business, which is from right here in Limerick called the Woofdrobe. Now, first of all, let me welcome my co-host to the show, the lady behind this new business that we'll be talking about, and that's Catherine Hughes. Catherine, a big welcome to the Big Bark.
Hi, thanks so much for having me on.
No problem at all. All right, Catherine. So, first off, do you want to tell people a small bit about the Woofdrobe, and we'll come back to it in more detail a bit later on?
Perfect, yeah. So, the Woofdrobe is a brand new venture of mine. I got a dog myself there last year, Milo, the little Malteshan. He's 1 year old. And I suppose I got him during the pandemic, and you know, I completely underestimated how much time raising a puppy would take up. So, you know, I was kind of sitting there going, I need to work, but I need to train this dog. Like, what can I do? So that's kind of where the Woofdrobe was born, really. And, you know, I wanted to kind of, I suppose, bring something new to the market with my own kind of stamp. So then I took to the table thinking about designs and what I could kind of do there that was a little bit different. And I came up with the chimkin roll design, which was classically Irish, just designed with chicken rolls on. So yeah, I just said I'd give it a go. I haven't launched yet, but I'm hoping it'll be a success.
Fantastic. And okay, so let's go back to a minute. You mentioned you got your little dog during the pandemic. That must have been very, very difficult, like during the pandemic after getting a dog, like especially when like there was no real like actual dog trainers out there who were doing face-to-face sessions. So a lot of it was probably done online. A lot of it like was probably self-taught too.
Yeah, so before we ever got Milo, I had like researched a lot into just different training techniques and things like that. And I came across a group on Facebook that was run by dog behaviourists in the UK. And it was all like about basically positive reinforcement training and all, you know, the benefits of it and how it helped the dog. And it took a bit more patience from you, but like that the outcome at the end was how you'd have like a more confident and happy dog. So I just decided that that was kind of the route that I wanted to take. So I found that that was so helpful. They were putting guides up that, you know, talked you through every single scenario that you could kind of come across, while also then acting as a forum that if you had any issues, you could write in and they'd help you out. So we used that for, I think, about the first 5 or 6 months. And then things were kind of starting to open up again a little bit. So we met up with Sylvia Jenka. She's a dog trainer in Limerick as well. So she met up with us, and our main issue with Milo was barking, because he's a very barky breed anyway, but he barked for everything. So we just did a bit of work with her, and yeah, I think we had our last session with her now. We hadn't seen her in a good few months, but we met her there, I think 2 weeks ago, and she said he's come on leaps and bounds. So a few things here and there we still have to do, but he's doing well overall.
You're getting there anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. And okay, so we'll come back a small bit later on and we'll talk about the Woofdrobe. Now, first of all, what I have today to bring to people is it's actually after coming in from a listener of ours, a regular listener. And, well, I gave her my own advice, but she wanted the advice of everyone else. So I'm just going to read out what came in. Have a read of this. Dear Darragh, I have a problem and I hope your listeners can help. I have 2 dogs, Max, age 9, and Molly, age 3. And I've been with my boyfriend for the last 8 years. These past few months, he's been asking me to get rid of my dogs because they get so excited and bark when I come home and cry when I'm not there, and they don't like when I leave them alone with him during the day. I already know what my advice is: get rid of boyfriend. That's my advice. A week ago, he said either the dogs go or I do. Now, to be quite honest, at that stage, I'd be like, bye. So I love my boyfriend, and a few days ago, I caved and told him that I would take my dogs to the local animal welfare sanctuary. But I have absolutely no intention of doing so. So this kind of sounds like I lied through her teeth there a small bit to him, but okay, let's keep going. My dogs have been my rock throughout the pandemic, and I would be lost without them. What's strange is that my dog has picked up on his behaviour, and I'm full sure that since he has come into our lives, my first dog, Max, has become more and more depressed, and I've noticed the same with Molly. She's a different pup now and has no real excitement these days. My boyfriend was living from home in a different county during the pandemic, and we only saw each other once a week, and when he wasn't there, my dogs were so happy and so chilled out. I don't want to lose my boyfriend, but I will not part with my babies either. What do I do? Please help. Catherine, I'm putting it to you first.
Okay, so the first thing that's jumping out to me is has there been any kind of trainer gotten on board? I suppose if the main issue is, barking when, she comes home, or, there's obviously separation anxiety there when she leaves. It's has there been training done to try and combat that so that everybody can be happy? That would be my advice. I'd say just maybe try and look for training. If that doesn't work, then I suppose that's a different story, or back to square one. But I'd say that there's definitely kind of issues. I always look at it from the dog's perspective too, as in, there's a reason that they're exhibiting those behaviours. So what are they trying to communicate? How are they feeling? They're obviously feeling stressed. So why are they stressed? How can we combat that? That would just be my point of view and how I'd look at it.
Yeah, and that's actually a very good way to look at it too, because a lot of people there, like myself, my instant reaction when I read that was get rid of him, just keep your doggies. But look, it's not black and white either. That's the thing. It's dogs are like you mentioned, the separation anxiety there, and dogs obviously bark for a reason. There is a reason behind that behaviour. So you kind of have to, before you just agree to get rid of your dogs for the sake of saving a relationship, you also have to look into why the dogs are actually behaving like this and what's driving that.
I think we had kind of similar issues even with Milo. He would get so excited when we come home and he'd be barking the house down and jumping up at us, and we were just told, now I'm not a trainer or anything like that, so I'll just kind of say what our trainer said to us, but she just said just completely ignore him, stand still until he calms down. As soon as he's quiet, give him attention, then he'll eventually learn that coming home isn't a big deal. And you just, maybe that would work over time. But I think it's always important to get a professional's advice.
Absolutely, definitely. And if anyone else has any advice on that, we will also be posting the story up on our Instagram as well in the coming days. And hopefully some people can offer their help on this as well. So, yeah, that's kind of what we have instead of the weird and the wonderful news this week. And next up, Catherine, what I want to talk to you about is, and I know I mentioned it to you a bit before the show started, and it's a segment that we have here now called Wellness with Your Woofer. And it's all about how important mental health is. And obviously, dogs have a huge benefit on our mental health. Like, you got Milo during the pandemic. So, like, and that was in the middle of the pandemic. How much has he changed your life since he's come into your life during the pandemic?
So with Milo, being completely honest, it's definitely been a roller coaster. So Milo himself, he struggles with like anxiety issues himself, and things like taking him on walks, and he's quite reactive to dogs and things like that. So there's a lot of big feelings and emotions in Milo anyway, that then like when we're taking him for a walk, when we first had him, he would be exhibiting these things. We wouldn't understand at that point why, and we'd end up just getting really, really stressed at him, because it's like, oh, can you not just walk properly like a normal dog? So I think there's been like a lot of learning, a lot of more self-awareness from like my perspective of kind of, as I kind of said like earlier, like drilling into, well, why is he acting like this? That kind of a thing. So I've definitely become more aware, I suppose. And I suppose the main reason as well that we got Milo, we'd wanted a dog for a couple of years, but when the pandemic hit as well, we were all just stuck inside, and it was very difficult to just kind of, you're looking at the same four walls every day, and what am I going to do today that's different? And I was there kind of going like, it'd be great to, I suppose, almost have a reason to get out of bed, and, you have to take the dog for a walk, and you have to feed the dog, and it really kind of created, I suppose, a more positive routine. I myself as well, I have a disability. So for me, some days can be quite tough to get out of bed. I might be in pain, or I might be struggling. So, to kind of go, well, look, I need to get up at 10. That's Milo's breakfast. I need to get up and feed him, and then get out and get a bit of exercise and all of that. So I found that was quite beneficial as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I think even for me, like, if I didn't have like Milly and Bruno here during the pandemic, like as I work with your partner Jack, like in the engine side full time, like I was working from home from the work even before like it actually went into a full lockdown. We were told like, okay, you're going to be working from home now. It's like, oh, wait, what? And it's a huge adjustment to go from like having your daily routine to going to staring at the same four walls every day. So I do think that for me, like Bruno and Milly definitely helped with that. Yeah.
I think as well, like I remember the first few months of having him, I'd say first 2 or 3 months, I like became so consumed by Milo and Milo's world and how Milo sees the world that I wasn't even like having my own life. But at that point it was actually quite beneficial. So like I was getting very like kind of bogged down by all of the media pushing like COVID, and it was constantly in your face and everyday cases, and it was just kind of, it was keeping you in just this sense of like stress. Whereas when Milo came, I wasn't near my phone. I had no time to be near my phone. I was focusing on training him, playing with him, taking him on walks, all of this type of stuff. And my mind was either on Milo, or when he was asleep, okay, I need to have a shower. I need to eat. I need to, do the basic things before crashing at the end of the day. So there was a good, like, I'd say 2 months there, whereas, well, like he forced me to not be just sitting on my phone. He forced me to not just be scrolling through negative things. And I think that made me a lot happier as well. And I think as well, when you just kind of sit and observe and be with your dog, it just kind of simplifies life a bit as well. It's like they sleep, they wake up, they eat, they poop, they want to play, and they do it again. Whereas we're here going like, oh God, there's a case, I have to do this, and I'll stay at home, but COVID, and then this, and like we build this scenario that's like so big and stressful. Whereas to dogs, it's like, oh yeah, I'll just be.
And you mentioned there like how like the stress of the media and like all the negative news is there, and like you look at it now and it's almost like it suddenly disappeared in the news. There's no mentions of it whatsoever. It's kind of like, wait a minute, what were we like really panicking for then, like over the last 2 years, and like looking at all this news for, when now it's just like it's gone.
Yeah, I personally tried to just stay clear of it, but Milo definitely helped with that.
That's brilliant. But anyway, let's get back to our main topic, which is all about building a small dog business in, well, I suppose 2022 that we're in now, like, in post-pandemic. And, okay, Catherine, let's start off and let's talk about what made you, like, really decide that you wanted to start the online store?
Back in 2020, about a month before lockdown happened, I had actually I had quit my full-time job back in 2019, and I decided that I wanted to start a business. That was just always kind of like a dream of mine. So I have a degree in the area of like creative media. So a month before lockdown started, I had set up a media production company. So that was just starting to kind of take off, and then lockdown hit. So because that was a service-based business, it was doors closed, I couldn't meet with anyone, it really kind of impacted it. And it was at such a crucial point where I hadn't even built a client base and it was doors closed. So I was on the pandemic payment, and I was just kind of like, I suppose, sitting down and reevaluating, like, lads, what am I doing? Then obviously we were in the process of like considering Milo. We'd been in touch with a few animal welfares and getting nowhere, and we were kind of thinking we would really love a dog. So then when we got Milo in June 2021, that's when we picked him up. So he would have been born in April. But then I was just kind of sitting again with him, still thinking about the whole employment thing. And he was then taking up so much of my time with, as I said, getting up, feeding him, playing with him, sleeping and all of that. I was like, what can I do that Milo is like, such a big part of my life now. I want to do something for work that, one, doesn't feel like work, and then two, I can bring Milo along. So I thought, well, then it has to be a doggy based something. So I kind of started exploring my avenues of, what would I like to do? I myself had seen like a few kind of dog businesses that were selling kind of like accessories and things like that. And I suppose being like really girly, I was like, oh, they're so cute. I'd love to put them on Milo and all of these type of things. But I was finding that there was quite like a gap in the market. So I just kind of decided, look, I'll start something new, try and find some quirky designs and see, can I start the Woofdrobe? So I actually started the whole thing of the Woofdrobe back in August of last year. And I had found a supplier, and because my products aren't handmade, they're outsourced. So I was going through all of that, but my original design I'd actually ran into a bit of trouble with. I won't talk about what it actually was here just for copyright reasons, but basically I hadn't read copyright law properly, and this brand came after me and they issued me a cease and desist order, and I had to have all my products. They'd literally just been shipped. I had to get all my products recalled, destroyed, and I had to start again. So lost a lot of money, a lot of time and effort was gone. So that all happened late October last year, and I basically was back to square one. So I took a couple of months up to probably Christmas just to kind of gather my thoughts and be like, okay, what am I doing here? Like, do I want to keep going with it? But I decided, I was like, look, I have another design up my sleeve. I'm going to keep going with it. So I think January, I kind of kicked myself back into gear and I was like, right, we're going to give this another go. So again, I started kind of being more active on my social media channels. My following, like all my followers online, they were fantastic. They really stuck by me when everything happened and I announced it. And my accounts, I was terrified that they would drop, but they just kept growing and growing, and I was so grateful for that. So I just kind of kept going with it, and till it comes to today, and my products were shipped last week. So I'm hoping for my launch late June.
With bills to pay and debt piling up, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. Personal loans through NetCredit can provide funding up to $10,000 to help you get back on track financially if eligible. Our secure application process allows you to customize the terms that work for you and your budget. So check your eligibility today without affecting your credit score and help get your finances back on track. NetCredit, a more personal loan. All NetCredit loans and lines of credit are offered by a member of the NetCredit family of companies or one of our lending partners. Visit netcredit.com/partners for more information.
How did you get through that? Like, because that's something that's very difficult for especially for a new business startup.
Yeah, so I had read like the copyright law, and it basically, now I probably, I don't have a legal background, maybe I should have, it's on me, I should have probably talked, to someone and gotten legal advice before I did it. But I had read the copyright laws myself, and it said if it was a caricature or a parody of something, then it fell into fair trade or fair usage or something, that I could use it. But I obviously, misread the small print, I suppose. So it was just a case of I was on a high. I was like, hey, my products are being shipped and I'm delighted. And then I get DHL knocking on the door and I get handed a very official looking envelope. So I suppose for the first couple of days, I was just in a bit of a daze. I was like, oh my God, is this real? That kind of a thing. I was like, that's all my money. That's all my savings. I've built up this following. Everybody loves the design. Everybody wants the products. I can't let people down. What am I going to do? So I think the terms were I had a week to get everything that featured the design and any type of resemblance to any brand off of my page, off of anywhere online, make sure that the products were destroyed, and if it wasn't done within a week, then I'd be taken to court, basically. I was there kind of going this was my first ever run-in with the law in any degree of any way, so it was very scary. So I was just like, look, I'm a small fry here. I'm not taking anyone on. So I'm like, look, I'm just going to do what they're asking. I archived and deleted all my posts. That was kind of the first thing that I did. Then, I got onto my supplier and trying to explain the situation to them. And, they were very, very sorry. They recalled the delivery for me and they, had the products professionally destroyed for me. So yeah, it was a bundle of emotions. I was scared, I was sad. But eventually, I just had to go back and go, look, it's done now. And then they just came back and went, yeah, look, we've checked. We're happy to let it go now. So I suppose ever since then I've just been even my current role or my current design that I'm putting out, the Chimkin rolls, I'm like, is this definitely okay? I'm almost waiting for something to happen, but I'm sure it won't. But yeah, just a lot of different emotions.
Fair play to you for getting back up there. I've interviewed, I suppose on the show over the last couple of years, I've interviewed a good few different business over the years. This is the first time I've ever actually come up with I've heard someone tell me something like this. So absolutely fair play to you for going back out there and starting again. It does take real courage to actually do that, because a lot of people would just be deflated and be oh, feck it, I couldn't be bothered. But you kept going, which is great. And so now you have your new design. So let's talk about what you're currently offering now.
Yeah, so my design is Chimkin rolls. So it's an orange background with little cartoon designs of your standard chicken fillet roll, little paw prints, and then it says the word Chimkin roll on as well. So that's going to be available. When I first launched, we'll say with the previous design, I was only doing sizes extra small, small and medium. And I had such an outcry from people messaging me on Instagram going, no, why aren't you stocking large? Our dogs want them too. So at that point, it was purely financial reasons that I just picked the 3 most popular. But this time I was like, look, I've lost so much. I'm either in completely or I'm not in at all. So I was like, look, I know that I have people with large dogs that are looking for my products, so I'm going to give them what they want. So yeah, I have dog harnesses, I have collars, leads, poo bag holders and bow ties. So that's what I'm starting with anyway. I'd love to kind of grow and expand to be a full doggy Woofdrobe in the future, but for now they're the products that I'm offering in sizes extra small, small, medium and large.
And I did notice there, I was actually just having a look at Instagram there earlier on, and I noticed that you have a very well-known local treat supplier that you're for a dog treat partnership.
Yeah, so I suppose I'm very, as well as being a small business myself, like I've always been very passionate about supporting local and supporting small businesses. And I feel like there's been such like a shift with people's thinking with that since, especially since COVID and since Brexit. I feel like before everyone would just kind of flood to Amazon and buy something and it would be coming from England most of the time. Whereas I think since Brexit, people have really kind of shifted their thinking and gone, well, hang on a second, can I actually get it from Ireland? So I think people who run small businesses, you put your blood, sweat and tears into it. Like it's not just a hobby. You're really trying to put, all your savings is in it to get the stock, and you really have to grow all of like these different avenues. You're doing your accounts, you're doing kind of everything. So it's like you're doing essentially every single role within a company, but just one person. And I don't think that that's something that is kind of like fully understood yet. So it's just always been a passion of mine, and I've always been passionate about supporting businesses. So one thing that I wanted to do within my company or my business is I wanted to see, was there a way that I could support small business while also being a small business? So I decided to set up an initiative which was a dog treat partnership. So every time somebody orders from the Woofdrobe, I will be including a small little bag of treats, which is basically sampled from a dog treat small business as well. So for the first few months, I've partnered with Max's Happy Ever After Treats. They're also a local Limerick business. I decided I wanted to start with Limerick because, I'm from Limerick myself. So I was like, we'll start local and see how we go. So they've been great. I love the people behind that brand as well. They're so lovely. You couldn't find nicer people. So each order is going to include a small little bag of some of the samples of their best sellers, along with some some business cards and flyers and that of what they have to offer too. So every few months I'll be changing. There'll be like I haven't launched my website yet, but there'll be like a little application form if people wish to sign up to be a treat partner. I suppose the only thing that I'm kind of looking for in particular in partners is that, one, that they are an Irish small business, and two, that the products, I'm kind of looking for more like natural products. I wouldn't be featuring anything that has like raw hide or anything like that, because I know that can be quite bad for the dogs. So yeah, I think it's just a nice little initiative to kind of my way of giving back as well. Mm-hmm.
So, Catherine, what's the next steps then for the business?
So I think at the moment, at the stage that I'm currently at, I still don't have products in my possession just yet. So yeah, they were shipped there last week. So I'm hoping to get them mid-June. So now this is all very loose. If there's, obviously delays with shipping and things like that, things will change. But I'm hoping the provisional date for my launch is hopefully Monday, the 27th of June. So there'll be more details on that on my social media. So currently I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and I also have a TikTok, but there's nothing on that yet. But I'll be just announcing, official kind of dates and times of launch there. But for now, I'm hoping it'll be the 27th.
Well, we put Peter last week through his paces on the little bit of trivia that we had, and we're going to do the same to Catherine. We're going to see now who is going to be the top finisher. We're going to keep this going over the next few weeks with a number of our guests. And okay, Catherine, are you ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
All right. So if dogs get too hot, they sweat. Where do they sweat from?
They sweat from their paw pads.
Correct. What was the most popular name for female dogs in 2021?
Oh God. Okay, 2021. Oh God. I'm gonna just say Bailey, but I don't know.
Very, very close actually. Bella. Okay, so what was the most popular name for male dogs in 2021?
Max.
Yeah, correct.
Was it actually?
Yeah, it was.
What a guess.
Okay, so true or false, dogs can only see in black and white.
False. They can also see blue and yellow.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I think, is it like kind of sepia, kind of more towards that like
Okay.
that like the way that we see it, like, you know, on a camera, the effects, like the sepia kind of effect that you'd have. So I think it's more towards that is what their vision is. Okay, so last week we asked Peter what was President Michael Lee Higgins' favourite dog breed. And of course, Peter being a huge Bernese Mountain Dog fan, he knew that. Now, this week I'm asking you, what are the names of President Michael Lee Higgins' 2 Bernese Mountain Dogs?
Oh, Jesus, I wouldn't have a clue. I feel like one of them is like, it's not Molly, no? No, I wouldn't have a clue.
Okay, so the 2 dogs' names are Broad and Mishnok.
Okay, yeah, no, I wouldn't have had a clue with that.
He used to have a lovely dog called, it was Broad and Saoirse. They used to have, but Saoirse, I think, passed away, it was a year or 2 ago. And
Okay.
he was like, look, you see, if you actually ever do follow the president's page on Instagram, you'll see the 2 dogs, like, they actually run into state functions and everything in the middle of the room, like, and just roll over on their bellies, look for rubs and everything.
Oh.
Okay, so next question. What sense are puppies born without?
Sense of smell?
No, sense of sight.
No? Sight, okay.
If you've ever, I suppose the main reason I know this is because we used to have like greyhound pups years and years ago, and their eyes would actually be closed on average for the first 10 days.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you kind of watch them like trying to make their way around and like make sure they don't walk into any walls or anything. It's it's a lot of minding. Okay, so next one. Which breed of dog was once known as the St. John's Newfoundland?
I actually know this, but I can't think of it. No, the name is gone. The name is gone.
Okay, so it was a Labrador Retriever.
Okay, I'm doing terrible at this quiz. Terrible.
Let's see, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4 wrong so far, I think.
Out of probably 5 or 6.
Out of 7. So you're 3 out of 7 so far.
Hey.
Okay, so what do you call a cross between a pug and a beagle?
Pug and beagle. Puggle?
Yeah, it actually is.
Okay.
There's one actually just 2 doors down from me here, and like he often will be out on the road, just walking up and down the road, and every time Millie sees him on the road, she just goes nuts in the car, starts barking at him for no reason.
Oh, really?
It's like, what are you doing? Why are you giving out to him? Okay, so 2 more questions. The next one is, in The Wizard of Oz, what is the name of the dog?
Toto.
Correct. And the final question for you, Catherine. In the movie Marley and Me, what breed of dog was Marley?
A golden retriever.
Correct. Well, golden retriever or golden lab, I think either answer will really do there. So.
Okay.
But yeah, let's see how you did. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 10.
Hey.
So Peter is still our leader on that. So I must actually jump a leaderboard over the next few weeks now and see who will actually top the table. And,
perfect.
But yeah, okay, look, that's pretty much all the time that we have today. So Catherine, look, on behalf of the Big Back, I want to wish you all the best with your launch and with the business, and keep us informed of everything that's happening. And we'll be sure to share the page and everything for you, and like let people know about your products as the launch is coming up as well.
Thanks a million, really appreciate it. And thanks for having me on.
Pleasure. Like, look, you did fairly okay at the quiz. Good crack. Okay, so before we go, I have a big announcement to make, and this is the biggest competition announcement that has actually been made on the Big Back to date. In 2 weeks' time, it is our 50th episode of the Big Back. To celebrate, we are teaming up with a brand that is also celebrating something 50 this year, and that is their 50th birthday, 50th anniversary, and that is Brandy Dog Food. So we are teaming up with Mackle Dog Foods, who are the producers of Brandy, to give away a month's supply of Brandy Dog Food to one lucky winner. We will have full details on this tomorrow afternoon over on our Instagram page. The winner will be announced on our 50th episode, so we are really looking forward to that. To enter, you will need to listen to next week's episode, because you will need the keyword. Yes, there will be a key code word that I will just randomly pop in somewhere on the show. And you will need this keyword to enter the competition. So the competition is all being done in conjunction with Brandy to celebrate their 50th anniversary and, well, to celebrate our 50th episode as well. Also, next week coming, we will be having a new segment, which we've been talking about for a while now, and that is our Clever Canine segment. And that, over the next 6 weeks, will be brought to you by Samantha Rawson of the Canine College. We will also have our Health Hub back next week, and that is going to be for the next 6 weeks in conjunction with Trusty Vets in Limerick. So if you want to ask any questions about your training methods, or you want to ask questions about your dog's health, please do send those into our Instagram page. Just send us a DM, and we'll be doing maybe a bit of a Q&A thing as well going forward. We're going to be doing an Instagram takeover as well in the coming weeks. We'll give you more details on that as well. Overall, we are very, very excited for what's to come. We never thought we'd reach 50 episodes. I'm freaking delighted that we have actually reached 50 episodes, or about to reach 50 episodes anyway. I won't jinx it, touch wood. And it was the sound of me touching wood. Not the sound of me touching my own head, which often sounds like wood. But you need, for the Brandy competition, I know you need to listen next week. You should be listening to our show. And we'll drop the hint, the little keyword, somewhere in the middle of the episode. Not going to tell you where, because I'm not going to drop it at the start of the episode. I'm not going to drop it at the end of the episode. It is going to be a complete or random piece of the episode where I will be dropping this important keyword. So, I think I've talked enough now. My 2 puppies here are very hungry, and I do think they heard Brandy Dog Food and they thought I said dinner time for some reason. Anyway, look, that's all the time that we have this evening. Thanks again to Catherine for joining us from the Woofdrobe, and wishing her the very best of luck in her new business going forward. And we'll see you all next week.
Bark, listen up, dog owners. It's for you, all you canine lovers. It's your favorite podcast, The Big Bark, with your host, Darragh and canine co-hosts, Bruno and Milly. The Big Bark.
With fast funding up to $10,000 available through NetCredit, our online application process was designed to get the money you need quickly if approved. You can borrow an amount that meets your needs and repay in a way that works for your financial situation. And we report on-time payments to credit bureaus, so you can build credit history as you repay. See what NetCredit can do for you today. Check your eligibility without affecting your credit score at netcredit.com. All NetCredit loans and lines of credit are offered by a member of the NetCredit family of companies or one of our lending partners. Visit netcredit.com/partners for more information.